we in this chamber have had for a long time now this ability to request a 60 votes to pass a matter when there are members of the Senate, and I'm one in this case, who believe that the passage of this matter would have a profoundly negative effect on our country and its security. I know my colleagues, some of them disagree with me, of course, but I am exercising my right within the tradition of the Senate to do what senior colleagues have advised over the years, to stop the passions, the political passions of a moment from sweeping across Congress into law and altering our future permanently.
And finally, improving the image of the United States and repairing the damage done to our credibility around the world. Does anyone believe truly that this war has gained us respect in the Council of World Nations? Does anyone believe that? Because if they do, they're smoking something, because it hasn't. There has never been a time when America has less credibility abroad than today. Does anybody believe that this war is quelling a new generation of terrorists? It's doing exactly the opposite.
And I want to express my own sense of disappointment, sadness, though unfortunately in these very partisan times, not surprise, that this debate we are having, which reaches a kind of pitch, a moment of confrontation in the Levin-Reid Amendment, which would mandate a withdrawal from Iraq, that this debate is so partisan. I have a point of view about the war in Iraq and what I think is best for our security and future policy in Iraq. I know that people have different points of view. I respect that. This is a difficult, very, very difficult matter to reach judgment on. So people, of course, can have different points of view. But why do we divide in those different points of view on party lines? There's no inherent reason why that should happen.
Now, the president is fond of invoking Franklin Roosevelt and our noble mission in World War II when he talks about Iraq. But he must have forgotten that when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, Roosevelt didn't run off and invade China. That would have made no sense. Just like our going to Iraq had no sense because we dropped the ball in Afghanistan. The failures in Iraq, coupled with the reinvigoration of al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, underscore the fiasco of the Bush administration's decision to take its focus off Afghanistan, its disastrous war policy, and the consequences of its stay-the-course mentality. They took their eye off the ball and created a quagmire in Iraq. We didn't have al-Qaeda in Iraq. We have now elements of al-Qaeda in Iraq, but we did not have al-Qaeda in Iraq before we invaded. And now we're paying the price in the form of less security and a beefed-up terrorist network. Maybe Secretary Chertoff's infamous gut feeling about an increased terror threat was caused by knowing that Osama bin Laden and his terrorist allies are still out there plotting and planning thousands of miles away from Iraq. Thousands of miles away from Iraq. Madam President, let me conclude by saying the President says that the only role for Congress is to provide a blank check for his failed war policy. He is so wrong. He is so wrong. It's time to reread the Constitution.
What frustrates and ultimately angers the American people about what they see here, because what they see is that too often we seem to be playing partisan politics. We seem to be in a kind of partisan tug of war, and the net result of that is that nothing gets done.
And what's interesting to me as I've listened to the debate about this particular amendment, the Levin-Reid Amendment, throughout the course of the day, is I keep hearing this distinction about Afghanistan and Iraq. And somehow Afghanistan is a good war and Iraq is a bad war. The reason is Afghanistan, we aren't having as many casualties as we are in Iraq. We're taking on a lot of casualties in Iraq because that's where they are killing our soldiers. That's the reason that we're taking on casualties in Iraq, is because that is where our soldiers are. Madam President, we move troops to Afghanistan, they'll start killing our troops there, because that's what they are and that's what they do. They are killers whose goal is to kill Americans, and they're going to keep coming at us. And I really don't think sometimes our colleagues on the other side see this for what it is, a titanic struggle between good and evil, between radical Islam and nations that cherish freedom. Well, I have to say, Madam President, I believe the men and women in uniform understand that when they are fighting Al-Qaeda, it doesn't matter where they are fighting them. They are our enemy. They're our adversary. They are the people who are out to kill and destroy us. Whether that's in Afghanistan or whether that's in Iraq, they are a global terrorist network intent on destroying us and our allies.
Al-Qaeda, Iran, the fanatics running Iran who exhort the tens of thousands to shout, "Death to America." They've been doing it since the revolution in '79. They do it weekly throughout Iran. Death to America. That surely we understand that they don't distinguish between Republicans and Democrats when they shout death to America. And we should have the common sense, let alone the sense of responsibility to our country, to come together and defend our nation against those who want to destroy us, as Al-Qaeda began to do on 9/11. So I regret the partisanship that characterizes this debate.
And so I would, as we get the final vote tomorrow at 11 o'clock on cloture, I will be voting against cloture.
Would the senator from South Dakota yield for a question?
I'd be happy to yield for a question.
Would the senator from South Dakota agree that the United States military is made up of people with the same diversity of political views as the country writ large?
I don't profess to know the answer to whether or not what political persuasion the members of our military are. What I can share
Wouldn't
with
the senator agree that in a democracy?
Reclaiming my time. If I could answer the senator from Virginia's question, I talk to military personnel all the time. I've heard you express a poll that the military doesn't like what we're doing in Iraq. That's certainly not been my experience in any conversation I'd have had with any member of the military, and I would question any poll result that would conclude what you have stated, as I've seen you stated, with regard to the views of our military about our work in Iraq.
If I may clarify the polls for the senator.
Well, go ahead. I'd be happy to.
Yeah. Excuse me?
Can only yield for a question.
I would just continue. I appreciate the comments of my friend from Virginia, but I have to say again.
Say it's more than one poll, and they do reflect
Madam
a lot more than anecdotal
reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
We have to observe the regular order here in the United States Senate, and the senator from Virginia is clearly not observing the regular order.
Senator from South Dakota has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President.
But rarely have the divisions between those who support a war and oppose it, or support particular policies associated with it and oppose it, been as partisan as that they are at this moment. And it's just got to stop.
In Ramadi, if you remember a year ago, that was getting ready, or as we say in Oklahoma, that was fixing to be the terrorist capital of the world. It's now secure. In Fallujah, this is just less than a month ago. In Fallujah, it's secure, and it's secure by our security forces, not by the Iraqi security forces, not by our security forces. In other words, they're taking care of their own over there, and the joint security stations, where our troops, instead of coming back to the green zone, will stay over there and bed down with the Iraqi security forces, develop intimate relationships with them, and learn to love each other. And this is what's happening right now.